Welcome back to our interview this week. We're here with Meneer Regardt Eicker, the African Cyber Gaming League School League main broadcaster. He has a multitude of other major broadcasts, but why don't you just introduce yourself?
Hi, I am Regardt, also known as Reggie, broadcast and production manager over at ACGL.
And he does a fantastic job of highlighting students across South Africa. So we're going to chat to him about various things regarding streaming, broadcast, and all the technicalities around that. But before we get started with that, what is your favorite game? Let's just start on the basic gamer level.
Well, for me, it's basically always been and always will be, regardless of the state of the game, Call of Duty.
Oh, maybe I should be holding it over here then.
Yes, Call of Duty, favorite by far.
100%. And what is it that got you into broadcasting? There's so many things you can do in esports in terms of shoutcasting, obviously the stuff we do behind the scenes, the admin side. But why broadcasting? What really excites you about it?
Is it more like how I got into it or, why I do it?
Let's start with that. How did you get into it? And what is it that makes it so much better than doing admin or graphics or anything like that?
So basically, one day, Nick Holden, our lovely boss, he's like, Reg, so do you want to try out production? And I'm like, no. I did not know a single thing. I've not opened any streaming software at that point in time. And that first weekend, I did a Mythic broadcast for Fortnite. And it went very well. And I loved it. And ever since then, I've been broadcasting.
Do you mind if I ask what year that was, if you remember?
2020.
2020. So I think that's before I started ACGL, right?
No, you volunteered with me online during 2020. You started 2020.
No, but you were a senior admin when I started. Yeah. So I feel like you started a little bit before me. But were you doing broadcast then?
So late 2020 was my first streams, yes.
Okay, because I do remember very vaguely either Nick or some of the other admins at the time saying, wow, Reggie's just doing a fantastic job. We've never really put him on anything like that. We need to get him onto this full time. Because you were, I think, still working at your previous job and just doing admin, a little bit on the side.
Correct. I was basically working in something completely different than this. And then my bosses were always nice enough to let me off at 3 p.m. so I can do ACGL stuff every day. And worked out at the end.
It's amazing what happens when you take a little bit of a leap of faith. And now you're in Cape Town. I mean, Reggie was based in Pretoria before, and now he's moved across South Africa to be here, bringing world-class quality streams to the rest of Africa. Amazing.
It is, yeah, unreal.
So I guess to the second part of that question, what is so amazing about broadcast for you specifically?
For me, it's just to be able to share it and grow the games and the communities. Without streams, a lot of people is not aware of what's happening, especially in South Africa. I feel like it's very important part of growing esports, especially on the school level. We need to showcase the talent, and that for me is what drives me to do it.
Yeah, I think you put that wonderfully. I mean, that's what the parents see. It's what your schools see. It's what other organizations see. I mean, playing a game online it doesn't really look like much. You can see some brackets, some fixtures, but unless you see the actual action happening, what's the point of just hearing about maybe cricket or rugby, just hearing the fixture results? You need to see the action. Yeah. So 100%. If I wanted to start streaming today, what is the minimum requirements you would say I'd need from my hardware? Would I need like a 6090? Would I need like 4 monitors? What do I need?
So 4 monitors, yes. No, I'm kidding. So basically you just need your monitor, a decent spec PC, not like low range. By low range, I mean like your 2050s, 3050s, rather something like in the 60 series, not 60 series, but like 3060, 2060, like those are all fine. And then you obviously you have like the 4060s as well. And then Memory, like RAM, always important. Minimum 16 gig, I would say. Otherwise, you will run into some issues. But yeah, that's all you need. A CPU that's not like, 1000 Rand. Probably something with preferably 6 cores or more. Anything less, you will likely run into some issues. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. And what Reggie described, I think, is a very standard, stable PC. Obviously, it depends on what games you're running, what you're recording in, and various things like that. But if you want to be comfortable, 16 gigs RAM minimum, everything else you mentioned, very good, strong starting point, I think. And now, if that's the basic level, what do you run on your PC that gets out the amazing Fortnite, Call of Duty, COD Mobile, those lovely carry first streams? What do you run?
Yeah, so basically, I did recently upgrade, and I'm still waiting for one more part. But what I run at the moment is 96 gig of DDR5 RAM. I have a RTX 4070 Ti, a Ryzen 7 5700X, which is being upgraded tomorrow, actually. Yeah, and that's the main stuff. I do have an extra terabyte of SSD storage, which I use just for replays while I'm live, which gets cleared after every stream basically. And I use 2 monitors. Depending on the stream, sometimes I do switch to 3. And if the stream is very demanding due to my CPU being restricted still at the moment, I do have a laptop which I use to offload some of the workload to. So that is my current setup.
Okay, that's amazing. I think a lot more hard drive than your casual person at home would have, but awesome. What piece of hardware that you have additional to your usual makes your live streaming easier?
For me, it's a no-brainer. I have a Elgato Stream Deck XL, so it's the one with the 32 buttons. Basically, what it does is you can control all your scenes that goes out to production without needing to actually use your mouse or keyboard. To give an example of how useful this tool is, we had load shedding once, and my backup power was running out. And in order to save power, we turned off all my monitors. So I could not see what's happening on stream. And my co-producer, Andri, he would tell me on what scene I am and basically how far the game is so I know when to switch. And I would control everything from the Stream Deck and he would just tell me yes or no, basically. So the tool is so handy. Anyone who streams and can afford it, I do recommend it.
That's such a funny story that I'd never heard that one before. Like it's so funny in hindsight, but I imagine you were just panicking about the stream dropping like mid-stream because of load shedding.
Dude, it was some of the most intense broadcasts ever. And all you see is on the app, because you could see your inverter on the app, the percentage, and it's just dropping down 5, 4, 3. Eventually it's like, we finished the stream. It's just like, thank goodness, dude. So yeah, no, lifesaver.
Breath of relief there. What streaming software do you use to get the footage out? And then on top of that, what software do you use in conjunction with your streaming software to make your streaming life easier?
So for the most part, up until recently, I use OBS, and OBS is what I recommend to anyone getting into streaming. It does way more than people think it can do. You are able to run some of the bigger streams from OBS. But if you do want to step it up a little and you have the budget I do recommend using vMix. vMix has a lot of built-in features which OBS just doesn't and sadly can't come close to. So vMix basically is what makes the broadcast just that little better. So yeah, that's what I use.
100%. And I'm just going to remind our viewers that this is for high-level broadcasts on like an esports league level. You can use ours for just your standard streaming stuff. Don't worry too much about that. Out of all the games that we stream here at ACGL, what would you say is the most demanding on your computer or, getting frames out and things like that?
So you probably won't believe me. The most demanding game is actually Fortnite. a lot of people would probably think Valo or Call of Duty. But Fortnite, just because with Unreal Engine 5 and like how much you can crank the details on that game, it's so demanding. Literally, if I were on my old system, which had a 3070 Ti, and I were to crank the graphics of the game to max, I would actually overload my system and wouldn't be able to broadcast the game. So Fortnite by far is the most demanding.
All right. As someone who's played that and tried to stream it, it actually is crazy. If you crank the graphics up, I can get away with maybe mid to low. If you want it to be watchable stream, you know. And you spoke about your co-producer Andre before. When is it necessary, do you think, for a broadcast to start including multiple people running the broadcast? Like, what is the breakpoint that makes it so intense?
So generally, I would say, let's say you want to do live updates during the stream. By live updates, I mean things like brackets and intermissions that have like scoreboards on the side and things like that. You generally need someone to edit. So I think as soon as you reach that point, and you need to edit things as you go, you would then need someone on the team to assist with that.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Reggie, that has been so insightful. I've heard stories I've never heard of before. I've learned a bit more about broadcast. I hope everyone in the audience has learned something new as well. But thank you for your time, and we'll see you next week.